The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to Success Secrets Exposed with Sally A. Curtis, where we share stories of challenge, success, and inspiration, along with practical tips and strategies to move you forward to your success. And now, here is your host, Sally A. Curtis.
Good evening, good morning, and good day to you all. Welcome to another series of episode of Success Secrets Exposed. Our topic today is finding your money leaks and how money and intuition work together. Before I introduce our very special guest, Chella Diaz, I'd like to share a little bit with you about what I do and who I serve. I predominantly work with speakers, coaches, and consultants, those that love to create content, but are feeling the fatigue of it all. I'm a content repurposing whiz, and we can turn your book into 2 years worth of content that is bite-sized, stunningly visually graphic. So you have a library of reusable brand assets to use across your social media platforms. It's all designed to save you time and your brain fatigue. It's my role to amplify your voice, your message, and your impact. But more importantly, today, as I said, we're going to be talking about finding your money leaks and how money and intuition work together. Now, Chella has been hosting workshops to empower people across the globe and master their money skills for many, many years, allowing participants to reach their financial goals with grace and joy. Her program meets each client where they're at and provides them with the tools that they need to unpack that emotional baggage that sometimes sits around money. She helps them enrich their lives, block those money leaks, and create financial abundance. Now, what I love most about Chella is from a very, very young age, she's actually learned to manage her money. When she was just 9 years old, she worked out how to navigate the farmer's market for the best produce at the best price. At 17, she purchased her first car, something I'm proud to say my son also has done. And she also purchased her home first home at the age of just 23. She's been was married for 17 years and has 2 fabulous sons as well. And she's been on her spiritual journey for the last 15 years. And today, as I said, we're going to talk about those money leaks and how money and intuition work together. So please help me welcome to the stage, Chella Diaz.
Yay! Oh, you did such an awesome job, Sally. Thank God this is being recorded. So I'm just going to take that. I'm going to make that my introduction going forward.
You are most welcome. Thank you very much. Super excited to be have you here today. I know we've had some incredible, highly excited, energizing conversations over the last few months, which has been fabulous. Thank you. But I'd really love you to sort of perhaps tell us a little bit more of the backstory. I've just done the highlights, but there's obviously more to the story that's brought you to where you're at now. So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, to me, and I know this is going to sound silly, but to me, I did not know that other people had different views about money until I met my boyfriend, which in turn to be my husband, who then turned out to be the father of my 2 sons. Yeah. But it was interesting, right? Because it's not something we talk about. It's not like we're sitting at the dining room table. I mean, we can talk about other subjects, right? But it's not like we can talk about, okay, well, what was the money conversations you listened to as a child, right? What were some of the struggles that your family faced as a child, right? It's not something we talk about. And even after we lived together, it was like, wait, but we're going this direction. How come he's not following, right? It's because if you think about it, right? I know this is not a relationship show, but it is what relationship you have with money. And if you both have a different relationship about money, when you come together, it's about talking and having those conversations so that you get on the same page.
Yeah. That's just created such an aha moment for me. God bless you as always. So for me, with my first husband, Rory's dad, Andrew, we had very similar money stories very clearly. So we were more united in the way that we did things, even though it was never discussed. We just were similar. And then my last partner and I were clearly completely opposing opposites, but again, we never had those conversations. Something I do very, very differently now, but I can appreciate the contrast of where you've been with a significant other where the money story has been similar and you've gone along the journey together, versus the one where it's been completely different and you wonder what the hell happened.
Especially because, you bring up a good point, because we tend, or I attracted the opposite, right? I'm a saver. I am, okay, we need to bet this, and the investment is this much. What do we need to do to prepare for it, right? It's the planning. I'm a planner. I'm a planner, right? How do we get there? And it's the shopper versus the saver, let's face it. And my former husband was the shopper, I mean? But also, I mean, and he's a great guy. But what I learned that, it's not just the shopping, because that's the first layer. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, please, no, start thinking, how does this apply to me? Because if you're a shopper, and there's nothing wrong with shopping, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with shopping, but if you shop, why are you shopping? Because a lot of the time is when we shop because we want that one instant gratification.
I do not. Keep going. You're going to give me my shopping list, my dirty laundry shopping list here, aren't you? Keep going.
And two, we're trying to cover something up. Again, the deeper level. And with him, and with other clients, I'm not going to throw my former husband under the bus here, but with other clients, what I found that, when we get down to the drama, it's about, there was something that happened that led them to believe that they were not good enough. Maybe somebody yelled at them. Maybe somebody made fun of them. Maybe somebody called you a name. It's about going back to where that drama happened. And this is key. Now that you identify some drama that happened to you as a child, what were the lessons? Because when you're able to take away the lessons, and I know you're sitting there, it's like, what is it? Believe it or not, this is all going to be wrapped up, because after we finish this, I'm going to give you your first task, and we're going to find where your money leaks are. But first, we have to identify, why do we shop? When do we shop? Right? Because that's key one. Because once you are able to identify that, then we'll be able to do something differently with it.
Yeah. And I love that you talked about what was the drama. And then for me, I was thinking, okay, what was the drama? But what was the story I built around that before I actually started to see and to appreciate the lessons?
And it's the story. Oh my God, that is $100,000 tip, folks. Because because if you think about, it's not just what happened, but it's the story that we create. And let's say that it happened to us when we were 5 years old, right? As we get older, the story grows with us because we give it. It's like that fire, right? We keep adding fuel, we keep adding wood, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So the story keeps growing as we grow, which is why doing the transformation and doing the work can be so easy and so quick, because all we need to do is go back to that drama, that one little incident, which was, in comparison to what we built it out to be, it's quite small.
Yeah. We just need to do our own edit.
And we have to be open to getting there, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. But the shopping, and I do enjoy that, because the first thing that we want you to do is to find your money leaks. And I know this is going to be a little bit painful to some, but trust me, this works 100% of the time, is keep track of how you're spending your money. No shame, no guilt. you get a pen or an Excel spreadsheet, a picture, doesn't matter, whatever works for you, and you simply keep track of how you're spending your money. So on Monday, let's say you go out to lunch, you put it in there. On Tuesday, you paid your mortgage, you put it in there. Wednesday, you go out for snacks. Friday, you go out for cocktails. Whatever that is, the day and what was spent. Anything over $1, you keep track of it. You're going to do that for 7 days. There's at least 3 lessons in here, because when you do this for 7 days, at the end, and I get really excited, I can tell my body was like, at the end of the 7 days, you're going to take that list and you're going to divide it into 2. How much was spent on wants? How much was spent on needs? The lesson behind the lesson behind the lesson is that when you discover, and you're going to do this for 4 weeks, let's say that you start to see a pattern that you normally go out and spend on Wednesday nights for whatever reason, right? Wednesday nights. And those are the spending that really is not serving your higher good. You're not moving towards your goals. So then we're going to be able to create a different pattern for that day. So that's why keeping track of the day and what was spent on that day is crucial. And so then you can start saying, okay, we know Wednesdays is normally the day that I go out. What can I do? What productive activity can I do instead? Could I go for a hike? Could I go hang out with some friends? Okay, this is for me. Could I do some baking? Because baking happens to be one of the things that I enjoy doing, right? What can you do to distract yourself so that you're not spending that money?
So no matter what new habits. Yeah.
It's the new habits that you're going to put. And it's important because let's say that you save $35. Can you put that money into a different account? Because now the bonus tip here is creating a possibility account. And the right. So now you say like the 35, we're going to put it into the possibility account. The possibility account is for you to maybe have 3 months of your monthly obligations. Maybe you want to plan a vacation. Maybe you need to replace the tires in your car. Maybe you want to purchase a home. So you're going to start putting that money in there. Maybe you want to save for long-term investment, short-term investment. This is why a possibility account, or I call it a possibility bucket, is my favorite because the possibilities are endless. What you can put in there. But the other magic.
Yeah, I was going to say it inspires you to actually create because you can see and feel the possibilities. Yeah.
And she just said it. That is a $50,000 tip. What I have found my clients do when they begin to see that account grow, right? Let's start where you are. If it's $20, $30, $200, the amount that you start with doesn't matter. It's being consistent, right? That you put it in. But when you begin to see that account grow, it makes it a lot easier for you to say no to the shiny objects. I call shiny objects, right? Because you can see it, right? You know that your account is there and you're like, oh, do I want to go do ABC or do I want to continue to see my account grow? Now, this is nothing to do with depriving yourself. I'm not talking about depriving. I'm talking about doing the extras.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the extras. This is no depriving. We don't do deprive here.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So with these habits that you've got and that you're sharing with us today, were you as consistent and habitually disciplined throughout your life, or have you always done elements of it and just got it really fine-tuned now? So obviously there was some form of habits there because of what you were able to purchase at such a young age.
Correct. I was definitely a heck of a lot better when I was younger. I'm not going to lie. And then as I started to make more money, you know what I mean, I fell off. So I can speak from and I can share with you that, yes, but every single time that I want to achieve a financial goal, I just go back to the track. Right. So, yes, do I fall off? Yes, plenty of times. But I know, but this is the thing is that once you make it a habit, you know that you can always go back and you can achieve whatever that is. So yes, I've fallen off track plenty of times. I have children, right? Sometimes it was mine. I'm not going to blame the children. But sometimes it was me, and sometimes it was out of my control, meaning it was something I needed to get for them.
Yeah. But what I've really heard there too is it's okay to fall off, firstly, and B, once you've got the skill, the system, and know what the habits are and the process, it's a repeatable skill that you can circle back to. So it's not oh my God, I've fallen off the wagon, I'm done and dusted, it's all toast. Whoa, more story. It's crap, I've fallen off the wagon. Okay, well, let's readjust my goals or whatever they are or whatever you're looking for and just start the process again.
Absolutely. That's gold, right? It's not about, again, we've all heard it. It's not about how many times we fall off. It's about how many times we dust ourselves off and get back on.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, see, it's for me, whatever it is that you want to achieve has to be strong enough for you, right? It has to be something that you want. My first car that I bought at 17 was because we lived in an apartment and we used to have to walk to the laundromat. I didn't want to walk to the laundromat carrying all the little dirty clothes. And I wanted to drive to the laundromat, right? And that was, but that, as silly as that may sound, that was very strong for me. So it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else.
No.
Right? It just has to make sense for you, for that, whatever it is that you want.
And that's the simplicity of a goal that is resonant with you. And I think, again, just even hearing that, that was so strong for you. And is there an opportunity that for lots of us, we actually overcomplicate? Oh, no, my goal can't be just that because it needs to be this and it needs to be this and it needs to be this. It needs to be bigger. But the reality of it is if you set something and you're wanting to achieve something and it feels right, then that in itself is enough.
Right. And what if it resonates with you and is strong enough within you? Now, I had my license and I could always use my dad's car, but I could only use it if he was not using it, right? So there was that. So when I did actually ended up buying my car, what I gained, which I did not know I was going to gain, was the freedom. Right? Because now I could drive to school. Now I could drive to football games. Now I could drive to different parties. Now I could go to different parts of town. So for me, that was the freedom that I gained was beyond what I had anticipated.
And isn't that the whole financial abundance or quest that we're on, whatever the level is for us too? So please continue. Yeah.
So it's important to you, and it's okay if it's okay if you fall off track. But one of the ways that might be easier, let's say that for whatever reason you were invited to a party, birthday party, anniversary, and your money fell off a little track. Your money journey went a little bit in the other direction. Is there something in your house that you can sell? Something you haven't used in a year. I use a 1 year guideline. If it's something in your house that you haven't used, is it something that you're able to sell to give you that boost of cash flow? Is there a skill set that you have that somebody's willing to pay money? Now, this is not to do with your already. Is there something extra you might be able to do to give you that boost of cash flow coming in?
So becoming resourceful.
Exactly. Magic. But you're gonna see magic, because every single person that has done this 4-week task has gained. It's shocking. You'll be shocked to see where the money's actually going.
I remember not many years ago, probably I'm going to say 6 years ago, when I got serious about tracking the finances and putting them into Xero and all those sorts of things, and mine was all itemized. And I remember my accountant saying, "Have you really had all of this much coffee?" Now, that wasn't the section that I actually looked at. I only looked at the ones I wanted to look at, and I went, what do you mean? Because I had coffee, and it wasn't meetings, it was actually coffee. So, I don't mean coffee meetings. It was coffees where I'd go, oh God, that was hard. I might just go and grab a coffee from the shop. You know, those quick drop-in ones. Instead of going and making one, I might just go and grab one of those. And it was amazing. I think we're in, and this was back when coffees were $2, not $4. So it might have been a bit long ago. I'd spent $35 on coffee in a month, and that's not the coffees attached to a meeting. It was just I'll go and grab a coffee, just the coffee cup, just to make myself feel good. And that's what I'm talking about. That sort of spending scenario where I got into a habit because it was, that client wasn't quite right. I'll go and grab a coffee. And then it was a coffee with a chocolate bar, and, all those sorts of naughty habits that are so easy to get into, and then equally as easy to get out of when you are aware of them. But when you're not aware because you're not tracking it, you're actually clueless.
And that's huge. So we're going to give even a step further for the your listeners is, if you find yourself, whether it's a coffee, whether it's chips, whether it's whatever that is, finding that quick escape, quick getaway, if you will, what could somebody do to break that habit, right? Instead of, because obviously you need something quick, right? Let me, for me, 10 jumping jacks. And I know that may sound silly. I know 10 jumping jacks, or sometimes I get in my car and I just scream.
Yeah.
Right. So it's about changing. If you're able to just change like your body kind of, but 10 jumping jacks, right? I don't do those in public. I only do those at home. But screaming, I do definitely do that in my car, when I'm on the highway, even when it's just parked outside,
Yeah.
I am concerned that the neighbors may call the nutty police, but it's about changing, right? It's about when you feel that, it's like, what can you do? And sometimes you are going to go say, you know what, I deserve a cup of coffee and I'm going to treat myself. And that's fine. But what if instead of doing it, 10 times, for instance, in this case, what if you just do that 5 times and you're able to save half of it?
Yeah.
Right. It's about, again, it's not about, oh, we're going to cut it all out. No, it's about cutting back. Where can we cut back?
Yeah, and I love the jumping jacks because it's such a rewinder. It's such a habit shifter, but more importantly, it's actually a major energy shifter. So it just really rewires and brings in all of the good different endorphins and all those sorts of things by doing those sorts of things as well. So you do get probably a better happy fix.
Again, it's about just shifting that, right? Or can you take yourself on a hike? Can you go on a walk? Can you put, can you go into nature? It's just about changing the energy and the flow into your body and just being more connected and more grounded.
So let's talk a little bit around that energy and that grounding and the intuition, so we can share some of your insights around where the two actually intersect and join.
Oh my goodness. So I believe that we're all intuitive, and I believe that whenever we trust and we listen to that little voice, and now I've attempted to prove that little voice wrong several times. So trust me, I have, right? But it's trusting the intuition, and especially, let's say working with a coach, and I've done this plenty of times, so I speak from experience. When you get ready to make an investment and you want to work with Coach B, your intuition is saying, no, this is not a good fit. But I proceeded to go down that direction, right? It comes back to money, right? It's about, if we trust the intuition, whether it's working with a coach or working with this one particular client, right? It's about when we trust that. So working with the person that's not in alignment with us, we can save the investment. But also if we take on clients where we know they're not a fit, because our intuition is saying no and we're going against it. Again, I can write a whole book on that one. It's we're adding additional stress to our lives. Yeah. Right. It's when you begin to trust the intuition and you are in flow. If flow to say no to the things that are not in alignment, but also to the people that are not in alignment. When you begin to take that, it's almost like you're clearing the path. It's like you're pulling out the red carpet. because you're only going to take in and you're only going to say yes to those investments that are in alignment with you. It's a game changer in so many different ways, not only in money, energy, stress, overwhelm. And all goes back to trusting that inner voice, trusting that in intuition.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I'm mentally laughing here because I'm going to say it's not like arguing with Siri, which I do take great joy in arguing with Siri because she likes to lead me on the wrong path, and I usually know the quicker way. So it's a bit different with arguing with Siri about the map, which I do with great relish. It is about listening to that voice, and I've always described it as the you'll get that hinky feeling, something, and it's for my journey, and I'm still on that journey. It's where do I feel that hinky feeling most in my body? So I believe, and I'd love you to expand on this, that you do have the ability for your body to give you a hell yeah or a hell no, and it's about how do we go about feeling into that. So how do we feel that more so we can develop a trust? Because it's very easy to say trust your instincts, which I've got on my wall, but if you've got walls up and you're closing yourself off, how do you develop that?
Oh, that is $150,000 question. I would even say $200,000 because but this is it. This is a game changer, right? Because we all know where that is. And so I invite you to think, and I invite you to develop this muscle. Start asking questions. And I know this is we're going to start with the easy ones. And I just recently had a client do this. Let's say that you're on the road and you want to see a black car. You want to see a black, whatever it is, a white car, a black car, purple car, it doesn't matter, right? If you begin to get in tune and you begin to ask those questions, they're going to show up. And I'm doing the physical ones because those are the easier ones, right? So he was doing a 5-hour drive. I talked to him at his 3-hour point, and then he's like, I said, do this. He was blown away. Right? So those are the physical ones. I said, start with, what kind of food do I want to eat today? And learn and see where that body tells you, right? Because you want to learn where in your body you're feeling that.
Yeah, where you get the answers from.
Where you get the answers from, right? And start with things that are easy and they're tangible, because we want to be able to. So now that you're beginning to get the flow, right? Also ask for parking. If you're going down the road, ask for parking. It's like, okay, you know what? I want to find a parking, blah, blah, blah. So you're communicating and you're being guided to that parking spot. And I know, take it for a test drive and then let us know how that goes. But now that you've gotten used to the physical, which is the easiest, now begin to ask the deeper questions. And one of the best ways is, yes, you want to feel it within your body. Where in your body do you feel that? And the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. Right? But where can I find a parking? It's going to guide you to there. What kind of food should I eat? Whatever that is. But then you can start asking, is this the right investment for me to make, right? Whether it's a coach, whether it's buying that purse, it doesn't matter what your is. But then where within your body is your body telling you? Because then you begin to recognize, right? And some people, it's like your whole body will shake, right? Mine, for me, is my stomach. I feel it. It's there. It's either a light feeling or a heavy feeling. So I know, right? So it's about finding what that is for you and then test it, right? Because then you let's say that you feel it in your stomach and then you go against it, right? But you know what I mean? Let's say that you said, okay, no, this is not a good event, but you go against it, which, we all do. But then that becomes, now your intuition is getting stronger because you're practicing it.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic begins, because the stronger the intuition. And again, I'm still testing it, because sometimes even though I say, I still test it. It's like, well, maybe this time. But that's, and it's going to be helpful not only in your business, but in your life, in your relationships, right? Because let's face it, we all have people that we hang out with that we know. And I know you're thinking that has nothing to do with money, but it's about the energy that you're wasting on other people. It's
Mm,
about the energy that you're spending that you
mm.
really need to be there, putting it towards yourself or putting it towards a different project.
Project. Yeah. Yeah. I've
So
just, yeah, sorry.
no, I was going to say, so, even test it that way. Should I
Yeah.
be hanging out with Johnny and Susie? What I mean, are they in my best and highest use for myself?
Mm, mm. Very much so. I think too, just looking and reflecting back on my own life and my experience around that, when you have those, when your intuition comes in and it's the feather touch versus the brick touch versus the Mack truck touch, and you get the Mack truck touch and then you go, I knew I should have listened. And I know all of the listeners have done that before, because we've all done that. I knew I should have listened. When you have that moment, because I'm reflecting back on my own life because I've had a lot. When you have that moment, it's taking the reflective opportunity to go back and join the dots and go, oh yeah, I sort of, and then you actually start to get an indication of what your feeling is.
Exactly. Right. And I love that. I love that analogy because it's the light feather, but you're like, oh, it's like that. Oh, do I really want to do that? Right. And then it gets a little stronger. And then we call it the 4x4 here, right? It's like getting right. You can feel it because you can feel it. It's like getting swag. So it's either the light feather, and a lot of people do this when it becomes to getting sick. If your body's getting sick, your body's talking to you, right? Your body's saying something to you. So pay attention to those. And then, yes, sometimes we do need that 4x4. And then you go back and you connect the dots. You're like, yeah. And now and it's going to, in hindsight, it's going to be so clear. Oh, sugars, I should have done that back then. But this is it. Compassion for yourself, because the fact that you were able to connect the dots, you should go out and celebrate.
Yeah, because you saw the lesson.
You saw the lesson and you were able to track it back. Now, next time, maybe you won't get to the 4x4. Maybe you'll step in the middle, you'll stop at the middle. And then eventually you'll start and pay attention at the feather. Right? It's all part of the process. We all have different ways to get there. But awareness and the fact, I think that's time to celebrate.
Yeah, agreed. Because for me, one of my beliefs and one of my nags and the Sally soapbox moment is that if you have the awareness around it and you actually celebrate it, then you're actually acknowledging it, which allows more to come in.
Absolutely. Awareness, right? And it's not about, oh, I should have. No, it should have. We don't should. No. Here we are. Learn the lesson, celebrate.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, we don't, in my opinion, we don't celebrate enough.
No, we don't. And I even though it's a Sally nag, I'm sitting here going, yeah, it's a Sally nag. Have you done that this week? Yeah.
Celebrating, right? I say we're going to do a bonus tip. Have a list of at least 5 things that you will do to celebrate.
A celebration list. Love it.
Celebration list, because there's no thinking involved. You did something, you accomplished, you got out of bed, you made your bed. I'm sorry, but sometimes that's a celebration. And let's be honest, right? Sometimes that is. I've had days where, like, just getting out of bed, it's a celebration for me. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. But that's celebration, right? It's about celebrating the things that we do and not getting hung up on what we didn't do. Because there's no shoulds. There's no shouldn't. Yeah.
I think that also ties into, because the word just popped into my head, which was the whole comparison thing as it relates to money and the way we live in comparison to the way others, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's where, for me, that whole awareness and trust, and as that's grown, you sort of really let yourself free of the shackles of that comparison, and you just find out what's right for you. We were talking about another coach earlier, and I remember being asked, what does wealth or financial abundance mean to you? And everyone thinks that it needs to be some great lofty thing, but it actually comes back to, what's your number? What do you need your number to be? You might not want multi-million dollar homes, etc. You might just want something that's comfortable in the area, and that's what creates your security. So I think that becomes, when you have that awareness and you're sort of looking and creating your own story and you're trusting your own tuition, you'll actually find your spot, your number, not the number that you feel you need to have either keep up with the Joneses or be like the Joneses. You just get to be like you and use your own hindsight to find what that is for you.
Okay, that is it. $250,000 tip. Because do we really know? Let's say the Joneses, right? They have the house, they have the cars, they have the kids, they have all of that. But do we really know if they're happy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, because stuff is great. I'm all about the stuff. However, right, when you begin to compare stuff,
yes,
I'd rather compare joy. Right?
Yes, thank you.
Are you enjoying what you're doing? Right? Are you doing the things? Because I spent a lot of years being a real estate underwriter. And in that time, what I learned was that it was the doctors, they had the big house and the car and all of that, but they had to work twice as hard to keep up with that. Right? Versus my auto shop person who was not bringing in as much money, but he had no credit card debt. He had tons of savings, right? So it's about, it's about the picture. The picture doesn't show everything necessarily, right? So I think that when you begin, and I do a lot of workshops around high school and college students, and they all think, oh yeah, I want the big house and the car. Yeah, but are you ready to pay the price for that? And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there's a cost attached to that.
Yeah. And I think that's what you nailed it for me, is the only thing we need to be comparing, if we decide to do comparison, is joy.
Yep.
And reflect that back to ourselves. It's not about what the external things. It's about the internal and what makes me happy in my surrounds. What do I need to create my own joy, and where does that tie into my money and financial goals and trusting my intuition?
Exactly. I don't think we could ever compare that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just, because, some people may enjoy going out to dinner 3 times a week. I prefer to cook, right? It's just, it's about the preference. It's more about a personal preference, and that personal preference brings that person joy. And I'm not judging here, but I have found that the people that tend to want to go out to dinners because they don't know how to cook. I'm just saying, right? But again, that brings them joy, but it brings them joy because they don't know how to do the other. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, but sometimes really we got to start digging a few layers deeper than just the outside, just the packaging. We got to unwrap the box. We got to unwrap that box.
Yeah. And by unwrapping that box, we find out where the patterns are and where we can make those minute little tweaks to change the overall outcomes.
Yep. That's where the magic is. Yeah. And I guarantee anybody take the 4-week challenge of tracking where your money goes. It's a game changer in your life. Now, you may choose to go back to whatever it is you were doing, but when you're ready, the tools are going to be there and you'll be able to pick them up and use them at any time.
Yeah, so true. So tell us some of the, I suppose, either some of the success stories or some of the challenges that people come to you when they start working with you.
The challenge is, especially my entrepreneurs, is that they know that they're ready to raise their price. Yes. They know that the value they provide, really, it needs to have a higher price tag.
Yep.
But they're so shaky on it. I can really see it. It's like, well, should they play this game, and it's about sitting down. And again, we go back to whatever drama we experience as children, and identifying that so that they're able to show up. Because a lot of times I think people have what appears to be steel or brick walls that they feel they need to go through.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, they're not brick and they're not steel. They're paper walls. They look like, right? It's about really breaking that wall and showing up. So yes, it's been just magical. When one of my clients, she was going to offer a 6-month mastermind, and she wanted to charge $3,000. She's been in business for 20 years. The transformation she offers is phenomenal. So after one session with me, she increased the price to $5,000. It's a very quick process, like I said, because we're not dealing with a brick wall. We're actually dealing with a paper wall.
Yeah.
That's once you're able to go in and do
like a brick wall. Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, beautiful. Peter was just talking about how life in general is the onion skins, and we're always unwrapping to find out what's important to us, what now makes us more joyful, and also those habits and those sorts of things in there. That's such a great story, and I come across my speaking clients and coaching clients as struggling with that. I want to increase my prices. Where's the market going to accept it? Where blah blah blah. And just if you notice that you're doing this, and I've been guilty at the same time, this usually means that there's stuff going on in your head, and you're listening to a variety of different stories. And this is the time to shut that grotty goddess up and just make the new story. And that's about planting your flag in the sand and realizing where your opportunities are to bust through that probably even wet paper wall. It just is painted to look like a wall. And when you bust through it and you do it for the first time, I know myself, you go, oh my God, I can't believe it's taken me that long to do that. That was so easy, but I made up this horrendous story in my own head. And the reality of it was over and done with like that, and everyone accepted it. And, there was no big deal, but we just make it an incredibly huge, horrendous beast when it's not.
And also sometimes we go with our trusted mentors, right? And coaches. Because when I first started, my coach said, start charging $119 per session. And I did. I followed his guidance. I charged $119, right? And then we put it into a package. So I went from $119 per session to a 5-figure package that I currently offer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's what we need to do to get there.
It's the
right?
gems in the middle.
It's what I say. The best picture I can say is I help coaches expand their money container. I help them go from that golf ball to the basketball. So that you're expanding your being and you're in alignment with receiving a lot more money.
Beautiful.
You can go out and make the impact in the world that you want to make.
Yeah, beautiful. So that other than just that, the tips that you've provided as it relates to, tracking and sort of understanding where your money and your wealth is, one of the greatest things, I don't know, we've talked about this, as you said, is working with those entrepreneurs, those speakers that run programs, that offer services, that are doing the golf ball pricing and enable it to come out to the basketball based on what stories or dramas or walls they're putting in front of themselves, and really expanding their opportunities out just with that change of insight, etc.
Yep. It's magic. It's magic, and it's a lot easier than you think. Like Sally said, it really is, right? Because we run in circles.
Yeah,
so,
we do.
I say, let us stop and let's assess what we have. But once you stop running in circles, then the dust settles. Then you're able to see clear what you need to do, what steps you need to take in order to move forward.
Beautiful. We're just going to get to the point where we need to wind things up. So what we're just going to do very quickly is just go to a very quick commercial break, and then we'll come back with that one single tip to move people forward, Chella. So you're currently listening to Success Secrets Exposed on W4WN, and we will be back with you very shortly.
Are you a speaker, coach, or consultant wanting to increase your reach and impact? Need to save time and leverage your resources? Content repurposing is the fastest way to increase your visibility, credibility, and profitability online and reach your audience with ease. You already sit on a mountain of gold that is highly valuable to your audience. It's in your books, training manuals, articles, and presentations. We regularly turn clients' books into 12 to 24 months worth of content. Let us turn your existing content into visually stunning, bite-sized content tiles. Content repurposing is the easiest way to turn your past into profits. Turn your existing content into bite-sized glitter that you can sprinkle everywhere with ease to attract your ideal audience. Let us amplify your voice, your message, and your impact. Find out more at sallyacurtis.biz.
Thank you very, very much, and welcome back. So my one tip that I've got out of everything, regardless, is the compare joy. That's been a huge one for me, a great place for everyone to start. So what would be your one tip to give people forward movement?
No matter where they are, no matter what situation they find themselves in, begin to take one action. Don't think about the 20 steps, the 21 steps, 100, just one action. What action can you do today that's going to get you closer to your goals?
Beautiful. And a great place to start, if you're not already tracking, there's the 4-week challenge as an option to be able to do that as well. I've been doing that for the last few years myself, and I can't tell you how much of an insight it gives you to your good and slightly naughty habits, and through that you have what for me, it gave me the opportunity to laugh at myself, not tell myself off, but laugh at myself, and then create naughtier habits that were more fun, that were slightly more conducive, versus the naughty habits that really were just naughty habits. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, Chella, and you sharing so much of your fabulous wisdom with us. So thank you. How can people go about the best ways to get in contact with you? I know we've got it going across the ticker, but what's your invitation for people to contact you?
My invitation, reach out to me on my website. I'm also big on LinkedIn. That's my favorite platform to connect. And so reach out, let's have a conversation and see how I can best support you.
Yep, beautiful. Fantastic. And as most people know, LinkedIn's my favorite place. And we didn't actually meet there originally. We met somewhere else and then decided to play on LinkedIn. So that's chelladiaz.com. So CHELLADIAZ.com for those listening to the podcast later. And there's going to be the links to some offers, which Chella has there as well. I will spell this for you as well. It's Chella, CHELLA.Kartra, KARTRA.com/calendar/review offer. And that'll enable you to go through to have a chat with Chella and find out more. So thank you again very, very much for sharing so much with us. If you've got anything you'd like to finish off, please do.
Oh, this has been so incredibly helpful. You are phenomenal. And I know that you provided over $500,000 worth of tips on this show.
Thank you very, very much. Been a pleasure to be able to share those tips and unpack your inner genius for the audience. So thank you very, very much. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our podcast listeners. And we will look forward to seeing you on another episode of Success Secrets Exposed. Till then, have an incredible week and an awesome weekend. And we'll see you very, very soon. Take care.
That's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and I trust that you got some inspirational tips to move you forward. You can find this episode along with many more on your favorite streaming platform such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for more Success Secrets Exposed with Sally A. Curtis.